Hi guys. Okay, it's been a while since I've done one of these YouTube videos, and I would just like to say to everyone who subscribed to this channel a big thank you. It's lovely to get all of these new followers, and it's quite unexpected as well because quite honestly, this was just an experiment for me. This was just something that was kind of auxiliary to the blog which I have, but it's kind of taken on a life of its own. So a big thank you to everyone for that, and it's lovely to read people's comments, and it's lovely to chat to people and to hear their stories. Anyway, so what do I want to speak about today? Well, do you know what? I went onto my computer and I jotted down some notes, but it turned into a fucking book. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I think the first two subjects which I wrote about, these two little things, I'm just going to cover these things because you know what? It's a lovely day, and it's too nice a day to waste listening to a 20-minute lecture from a mad Englishman. So I'm not going to make you endure that. I just want to talk about a couple of things. And first off, I just want to reflect upon my experience with Alcoholics Anonymous. Now, as I've mentioned elsewhere, it's 5 years on now from when I first went onto the Sinclair Method and met with success with that and became abstinent. And prior to being on the Sinclair Method, I had in fact been a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'd lapsed from that. And actually, so I'm a AA refugee. I'm someone who left the fellowship about 2 years roughly prior to that, and I didn't have the best experience with my own AA home group. I found it to be a little bit of an AA Taliban, quite sort of fundamentalist, and not really very tolerant and very inclusive when it came to my own belief system, or rather my lack of beliefs when it came to religion, by virtue of the fact that I'm an atheist. And it was very hard for me. It was very much like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, and no matter how hard I tried to sort of bend and adapt myself to actually fit in with AA, I sort of couldn't. I found it quite difficult, I must say. But something like 7 years on, I mean it's a better part of a decade now since I actually attended an AA meeting. Do I still have that burning resentment, that sort of anti-AA feeling which I once had? Well, no, not really. I look at things now much more balanced, I think. And I do, in fact, have quite a number of friends who are still in AA. I mean, I have an older brother, for instance, who is a regular Alcoholics Anonymous member, and he's been sober for several years. And that's great, you know, I mean, good for him. What I don't do is diminish other people's method of recovery just because it's different to the method of recovery which I was successful with. I do not feel that is karmically good for me. You know, that's not good karma in my view. And though I'm not of a big one for relativism, you know, I'm not one of these people who sort of spout shite about everything being equal, because it's not. You know, I mean, the simple fact of the matter is that the Sinclair Method has an 80% success rate, where Alcoholics Anonymous has something like 5% to 10%. You know, it ain't brilliant, but at the same time, I do not knock other people's efforts. So I have kind of grown up a good bit, I think. I'm no longer a member of a lot of these anti-AA forums, which I used to be a member of. And I no longer get involved in sort of like anti-AA sort of wars and stuff, you know, and the whole polemic thing, which sort of came from very much from the early noughties with things like the Orange Papers, and also with the Penn and Teller documentary about the 12 steps, and with people like Doug Stanhope, the American comedian, producing these you know, shows where he sort of spouted off a lot about AA. You know, it became very fashionable in quite a short period of time. And quite honestly, I am a bit fucking tired of listening to Penn Jillette impersonators on forums. It is not endearing, okay? You know, you sound like an asshole when you're trying to sort of do a Penn Jillette or Doug Stanhope snarky impersonation. It ain't cool. But saying that, I mean, I do, likewise, I do have a lot of friends who, you know, are members of these forums, and I do keep in touch with them, but there is an extreme end of that. They do sort of have their own Taliban, as it were, just like there's an AA Taliban, there's actually an anti-AA fanatics group, you know, and I don't touch those groups or have any contact with those type of people, because I just think that they're absolutely toxic for the most part. So anyway, that's my take on it. What I do want to mention though is that I am a big fan of AA Beyond Belief and AA Agnostica. I think that these websites and these Facebook groups are absolutely fantastic, and that more people should be talking about them, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to adapt the program and to change it from the inside and make it more inclusive for people like myself who struggled, you know, all those years ago by virtue of my atheism. And there's a steadily growing network of them, and I think that it's absolutely brilliant, and it's the type of thing that could have really helped me in a big way all those years back. So I would like to give those guys a shout out, because I think that they're absolutely brilliant. And just whilst I'm on the subject of alternative 12-step groups, I would like to give MARA, which is an acronym for Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous, an honourable shout out. Now, this is something that's completely new, and it's adapting the AANA format, but for people who choose medication assisted recovery. So things like Suboxone, things like naltrexone using the Sinclair method, and methadone for people with opioid addiction, and these types of things. And that's brilliant, because for too long there's been this discrimination against people who use science to get well, and it's a discrimination which I've felt very much myself, you know, when I've had people from different sides of both the pro-AA and the anti-AA fence giving me, you know, unsolicited lectures on my choice to get well using the Sinclair method. So I think MARA is an absolutely brilliant idea, and I want to give a big shout out to Megan and also to David Davidian. So hiya, you two. So anyway, that was the first thing which I just wanted to do, was just to reflect upon AA and my own attitude towards that. And there was one last thing which I just wanted to go into, and it's something that's in fact come up a few times recently, with different emails which I've got and different communications which I've had with people on Facebook, and it's got to do with the extinction process and how long the extinction process takes for some people compared to others. Now, with myself, it was quite rapid. I was quite lucky. It took 3 months. And that's not rare. I mean, you know, you do get a lot of people who you know, take 3 to 4 months to reach their recovery point. But also, what's not uncommon is for people to take 6 to 9, up to 12 years to fully reach that extinction point. And what I want to say to these people who are frustrated, understandably, and they're following the golden rule and they're doing everything that's asked of them, I would just like to say a big well done to them for their persistence. And you know, I just want to say hang in there to them, okay? And just to say I'm really thinking about you, and just to reassure you that it is worth it, and that for 80% of people, they do reach their extinction point. And I have heard a lot of wonderful stories of people who've, you know, taken 9, 10 months, whatever. So please stick in, and please don't lose hope, okay? So I just wanted to say that, and also as well, I just wanted to say that I quite understand your frustration when you're on a Facebook forum and you're reading all these happy stories about these people who, you know, recovered thanks to the Sinclair Method within a space of 5 minutes. You know, I can quite sympathise with you feeling a bit pissed off, because believe it or not, I actually have a similar situation going on at the moment, but it's not to do with alcohol. It's actually to do with my diet. And here's the thing: I'm one of these people who if I look at a chocolate bar, I put on the stone. And whenever I go to the gym, I train like a fucking maniac, and I'm never off the treadmill, and I work really, really hard. But, you know, I put on 15 pounds or 20 pounds like that. I really struggle with my weight, and it's much harder for me than it is for other people. So I look at people in the gym who have like 8% body fat, and I just fucking hate them. You know, and it's quite soul destroying. It's quite soul destroying for me sometimes looking at the scales, because I put in the work, I am committed, but you know what I need to accept is that I am biologically unique, and I am genetically different to other people, and they are just luckier than I am, because, well, I mean, for one thing, most of them are 20 years younger than me, but also, you know, they just have the slim gene. So, and that's just the way how it is, unfortunately. But I do know that I will get there with persistence. And it's a similar type of thing with the Sinclair Method. As I say, you know, we're all biologically unique, and we all have different metabolisms. And yes, I was a rapid responder with the Sinclair Method, whereas you might be someone who is not so much a rapid responder, someone for whom it takes much longer. But you know what? Stick in there, and follow the golden rule. And you know, what I just want to do is I just want to send out a message of hope, really, and just to say that it is worth it. So in any case, I think I've 14 minutes now. Yeah, I've just about ran out of steam. So on this lovely sunny day, I think I'm going to get the heck off the internet. Okay, bye bye.